Here we have a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1964, and it's talking about the holiday of Sukkot. Now, I think everybody knows that in the holiday of Sukkot, it is celebrating the fact that the Jewish people, when they were in the desert for 40 years, that God surrounded them with clouds. And you're supposed to even think about this when you sit in the sukkah to remember, Laman Yed'u Dorotechem, you're supposed to know that God protects us also from all sides. Also, all sides. 1 second, just more. I'm writing this down because I'll forget this stuff. Okay. All right. So, in addition to that, we also take the lulav and the etrog, and you're supposed to shake it, take it to your heart, and that's done 7 days. You eat all your meals in a sukkah. The sukkah is like God's arm embracing you, and you feel God's love in the sukkah, and it's a happy time when you feel that you are loved by God. Okay, so here's a special thing about the holiday of Sukkot. There's a Gemara in Pesachim, and we're going to discuss this. That it says that in the merit of sitting in the sukkah, that we merit to the building of the Holy Temple and the name of the Moshiach, huh? By sitting in the sukkah. Now, the building of the Holy Temple is a goal of the Jewish people, and it's not built by the Jewish people. The Holy Temple is built by God. Mikdash Hashem Konan Yadecha. There is an opinion that the Jews build it, but it's usually not. That's not the accepted opinion. At least Rashi doesn't say it in the Gemara and other places. The third temple is going to come from God. It's going to come from, how is it going to come from God? Who knows, but it's going to come from God. Something like the raising of the dead, right? All the dead are going to raise up. People have been, their bodies have disintegrated for hundreds of thousands of years. They're all going to raise up. God will take care of it. Same thing as the third temple is going to descend from heaven. So by means of sitting, why? Because of the Jews sitting in a sukkah, or keeping the holiday of Sukkot, is there's going to be the third temple, and then the Jews will come back to Israel, and there'll also be the name of the Mashiach. What's important about the name? Okay, third temple, that's pretty important. What's so important about the name of the Mashiach? What's so important about it? Right? If the Mashiach is called, Fred, or he's called Joe, what difference does it make what his name is? We'll see. It's important. We'll see. Okay, let's go. Ready? This is in Yiddish again. In their parsha, wo es wird angesagt wegen Chagas Sukkos, in the holidays where the holiday in the Torah portion where the holiday of Sukkot is mentioned. Here it says over here in Emor in the book of Leviticus, it tells about the different holidays. They're really mentioned several places, but in this one it says, what does it say over there in the book of Leviticus about the holiday of Sukkot? It says like this. Ubayom Arishon, it says you should make a holiday, 7 days. On the first day is Mikra Kodesh. It is how do you say, declared holy. You cannot do any work. It says malachat avodah you can't do, but you can do work in order to cook food. You're allowed to cook food on holidays. You can't do any regular work. That's okay. Number one. You should take on the first day. It's only a commandment to take the lulav and the etrog on the first day. The first day, pre-Eitz Hadar, that's called the etrog, etc. Okay. Over in the Gemara, in the Talmud, in the Talmud in Pesachim, says Zochtov them. The Gemara says, as beschar, in the reward from the tzvei rishon, from the 2 times it says rishon, biyom rishon, and then it says ulakachtem bechem biyom harishon. It says two times in Parshas Emor. It says Biyom and Biyom Rishon. It says Biyom Rishon you should sit in the Sukkah, and Biyom Rishon it says you should take the pre. I'm sorry. It says Biyom Rishon it's a holiday, and the last day it's a holiday. The seventh day it's a holiday. And then it says also on Biyom Rishon, on the first day of the holiday, you should take the lulav and etrog. So it says two times Biyom Rishon. Biyom Rishon is a holiday. And then it says, and on Biyom Rishon, you should take the lulav and the etrog. The lulav is the big staff, right? It's the central branch of a palm tree. It says on this, because it says two times the word Rishon, Shvita the Regel Chag, like it says, on the first day, you should not do any work. B'yom Rishon Mikra Kodesh, it's a holy day. And it also says, B'yom Rishon, Netilat, on the first day, you should take the lulav and etrog, L'kachtam Lechem Yom Rishon. It says over there that is men zocha, that we merit the binyan Beit HaMikdash to the building of the third temple, Ulishmo Shel Mashiach, and the name of the Mashiach. What's this got to do with the temple and the because both of them are called Rishon. Was Veret Angeruf and Rishon. Kese Kavod Morom Rishon. It says the throne of glory high from the first. That's the holy temple. Makom Mikdash, that's the holy temple. This is a sentence in let's see, look, where does it say? In Jeremiah. So the holy temple is called Rishon, called the first. And the name of the Mashiach is also called Rishon. Rishon L'Tzion Hine Hinam. It says this, the first one of Zion. This is a sentence from Isaiah. So the Mashiach is called Rishon, and the Holy Temple is called Rishon. Rishon means the first. So in the merit of these two times that it says the word Rishon in Sukkot, we will have the third temple, and we'll have the name of the Mashiach. Is Mava'er, it's explained in them the Marsha, the Rebbe Shlomo Aderet, Rebbe Marsha, a holy of holy person, Marsha. Their Yom Tov, Sukkot, is mitam, is because B'Sukkot, Hoshavti et Bnei Israel. Why do we keep the holiday of Sukkot? So it says because when God took the Jews out of Egypt, He surrounded them with clouds. The holiday of Passover we keep because God took us out of Egypt. The holiday of Shavuot because God gave us the Torah. Right? We know why we keep the holiday of Purim, the holiday of Chanukah, why we have Yom Kippur, even Rosh Hashanah. Right? It says that we make God a king. But why exactly do we keep the holiday of Sukkot? Right? Why do we keep the holiday of Sukkot? Well, it was a general thing that happened for 40 years, that God surrounded the Jews with clouds. But let's just talk about, we'll separate, and the Gemara explains why do we have to keep it now if it's it was for 40 years, so anytime you could keep it. Okay, nevertheless, that's what we do. It says the reason we sit in Sukkot is to remind us these clouds that God surrounded us with, Meretz Yisrael. Udurach dem shvita, by means of sitting in the Sukkah, Vedmen Zoch, we can merit to the Holy Temple, which the Holy Temple is also called a Sukkah. Like it says, Vayihi b'shalom Sukkah. It says the Holy Temple is also called a Sukkah. Unnatilas dalid minim, and taking the four types of vegetation, the lulav and the etrog and the hyssop and the what is it called? The willow tree, right? We take we take one lulav and one etrog, that's this fruit, and then we take a bunch of hyssops, and we take two branches from the willow tree, is verbundet. This is connected with the joy, like it says, ulekachtem lachem v'samachtem. This is talking about joy. So what's this got to do about the name of the Mashiach? The Rebbe, therefore, met men durich them zochezain, taking the lulav and etrog. This gives us happiness. This gives us happiness. Like it says, ulekachtem liyom v'samachtem. That you should take for you the lulav and the etrog creates a dar usmachtem, and you should be happy. Therefore, it's called, we will merit to this, the joy in the coming of the Mashiach. Therefore, it's also explaining the diuk halashon, exactly the language. Why does it say to the name of the Mashiach? Why the name of the Mashiach? It says if you take Lulov and Etrog, then you get the Mashiach. But that's not what it says in the Gemara. And the Gemara says you get the name of the Mashiach. So sitting in the Sukkah, you merit to the holy temple, which is sort of understandable. I mean, the Sukkah is a building. It's a holy building. It's commanded by God. And to that, we merit the temple, which is also a building, and it's a holy building, and it's commanded by God. Okay. But it says lulav and etrog. It says in the Torah that when you do that, it increases your happiness. And Mashiach is a happy thing. Okay, good. Why does it say that? Doesn't say Mashiach. It says if you take the lulav and etrog, you merit to the name of the Mashiach. Why? Well, they're Indian because the whole idea of the joy of the coming Mashiach is hinted at in the name of the Mashiach. What is the name of the Mashiach? The name of the Mashiach is going to be Menachem. Shehu yenachamenu v'yismechenu, that he will make us, comfort us from all the pain that the Jewish people have had for these thousands of years. V'yismechenu will make us happy, like it says, Samchenu ki yemot nishanu. Like it says, make us happy like the days that you have made us suffer. How do we know the name of, where do we get this? His name is Menachem. Menachem. Here, let's have a look. This is in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, and also in Yerushalmi. And also there's a Midrash Rabbah, Eicha Rabbah, and in the Zohar, it says the name of the Mashiach is Menachem. It gives other names also, right? Other names of Mashiach also could be. Yanun, it says Shemo. Chezkiah Shemo, it says. But nevertheless, Menachem is the most, how do you say, commonly accepted name. Mashiach, the name of the Mashiach is going to be Menachem. And it says also in this is that Mashiach will make us happy. Samchenu ki yemot nishanu. It says in Psalms, God make us happy like the days that you made us miserable. But so now we can understand a little bit, maybe a sort of very indirect way, why is it that the holiday of Sukkot, and especially sitting in the Sukkah, the commandments of Sukkot, sitting in the Sukkah and taking lulav and etrog, this will give us the holy temple, because we sit in the Sukkah, it's a building, and the name of the Mashiach, because the name of the Mashiach is Menachem, that he's going to comfort us. Menachem means to comfort. Darfman verstehen, we have to understand. The Hadgasha, the idea, and where do we get this? Because it says 2 times in the Torah portion about the Sukkot, it says Rishon. And because it says 2 times Rishon, then that means it's hinting at that we will merit to 2 other things that are called Rishon. Right? It says 2 times Rishon by Sukkot, and that hints at the holy temple, which is called Rishon, and the Mashiach, which is called Rishon. And the reason it says the name of the Mashiach is because the name of the Mashiach is the comforter. He's going to be comforting us. We have to understand. The Hadgashat Chazal, that's what the rabbis say, Rishon, that we learn it from the words Rishon, Vibalt, as the Sheikhas, because the connection between Sukkot with the holy temple is mitzad because of this sentence, Vayehi b'shalom Sukko. Vayehi b'shalom Sukko. It's a sentence in Psalms. Vashteit, it says by the Beit HaMikdash, as Hadach Gedarf, that should have always come as the mitzvahs, that the commandments which we are meriting to building the holy temple should be the mitzvah of Besukot Teshvu. What does it say? That why are we going to get the temple? Because it says Rishon. There's another sentence, there's other words over there that indicate the holy temple much better than the word Rishon. Right? And the Gemara says, because it says 2 times Rishon, as one Rishon means that we're going to get the holy temple. Another Rishon means the Mashiach. So 1 second, why use Rishon as the word that indicates we're going to get the holy temple? Here we got a better one. There's a commandment, B'sukot teshvu, sit in a booth 7 days. That the idea of the Sukkah itself, this is not just the idea of the commandment of the holiday, and the holiday you shouldn't do any work. Was this a mitzvah? This is in addition to the Sukkah. So therefore it says, Besukos Teshvu Shivas Yamim. From there we should learn about the holy temple, not from the word Rishon. Why does the Gemara learn that from the word Rishon, it says by Sukkot, from that we're going to get the Holy Temple. I got a better thing. If we learn Sukkot Teshvu, it says you should sit in a sukkah. Because the merit of sitting in a sukkah, we're going to get, forget about the word Rishon. What do we need that for? Similarly, also, regarding to the name of the Mashiach, for what is the mitzvah? What is the commandment? The mitzvah, durach velcha, the commandment by means of which we get to the name of the Mashiach, sheyismachu, that he will make us happy, comes from which commandment? By doing the commandment that it says, a Rishon, namely taking the Lulov and Etrog. V'lakachtem lachem b'yom Rishon, you should say it creates Hadar and Kapot Tamorim. Versus blois of farbun, this is just a connection. Taking Lulav and Etrog, this is just a connection with happiness. Right? You take Lulav and Etrog, that makes you happy. What does that make you happy? Lulav and Etrog is just a connection to be happy. You remind yourself this is the holiday of Sukkot, and you're doing something in Sukkot, but the Lulav and Etrog, it doesn't make you happy directly, but Mashiach will make us happy directly. Right? As unit and not unit and not, let's see, let me do this here. I'm going to turn it down. The commandment from Simcha, the joy of the holiday itself. What does it say? That by means of taking the Lulav and Etrog, which is connected to happiness, in the sentence is connected to happiness, is by means of this, we will merit to the happiness of the Mashiach. Says the Rebbe, well, why the happiness of the whole holiday is a happy holiday? Say by means of the happiness of Sukkot, the holiday of Sukkot, we will merit the happiness of the Mashiach. Okay, so we're left now with two main questions. The Gemara says that because it says because in the Torah portion talking about Sukkot, it says Rishon twice. One is Rishon, the resting of the holiday, and the other Rishon is talking about taking Lulav and Etrog. Is by means of this will merit to the holy temple, because by the Rishon it says resting on the holiday you should sit in the sukkah, so therefore will merit to the holy temple, which is something like the sukkah, which is mentioned in the sentence about Rishon, and will merit to the name of the Mashiach, which is in another sentence that talks about Mashiach, which is a happy thing, happy sentence. So the Rebbe asked the question, I don't understand, why is the Gemara learning? And obviously the Gemara is right, but the Rebbe is saying, I don't understand it. It must be that we're misunderstanding something. The Gemara says that from the Yom, for the word Rishon, we're going to merit to the holy temple. Right? So why from that sentence it says Rishon? In the same, right in that same line, it says you should sit in a sukkah. From there, learn about the Mashiach, about the holy temple. We sit in the sukkah. What do you have to need the sentence Rishon for? The sentence says clearly that on the holiday of Sukkah, sit in a sukkah. Oh, the merit of sitting in a sukkah, right, which is mentioned in the sentence, will merit to the holy temple. What about Mashiach? It says Mashiach is going to make us happy. So therefore we learn from the sentence that talks about Rishon. It says, why the word Rishon? In the same sentence it says that holiday of happiness, it's a holiday of happiness. Usamachtan, you should have to be happy. Why learn from the word Rishon? Learn from the word V'samachtan. Okay, and also, by the way, we also had another question. Why learn about the Mashiach from doing the happiness of Mashiach from the Lulov and the Etrog, which is just sort of connected vaguely to happiness? It reminds us of the holiday. The main thing is the holiday itself. Okay. Bait. The explanation is this. The commandment of Sukkah, we find a novelty, a new thing regarding other commandments. In regarding it, Pola, Oif the Devorim Gashmin. The holiday of Sukkot has an unusual thing that it deals very much with physical things. There's schach, the physical covering of the Sukkah. We have to put leaves over the Sukkah, the walls of the Sukkah, which we do the commandment. When you do a commandment with a physical thing, and all the commandments are basically with physical things, even the commandments of loving God, it was with your physical heart. When you do a commandment, As poil to mitzvah, the commandment that we do makes a refinement in the physical thing. Until even after doing the commandment with the physical thing, is the law is you have a tashmishe mitzvah. A tashmishe mitzvah. For instance, tzitzis. Tzitzis, the commandment of tzitzit, as calls them on all the time, the tzitzit are in your garment. It's forbidden to use them any physical thing. Mishum, because bizui mitzvah, you're disgracing the commandment. According to some opinions, even after the tzitzit are removed from your garment, you're not supposed to use them for like regular mundane things. Even if, don't throw them in the garbage. I mean, technically, you can throw them in the garbage. You can, but put them in a bag or something so they don't get. But nevertheless, the tzitzit that you have in your garment, tzitzit are these, right? You have a garment, and you have the tzitzit are the strings for the garment. So the tzitzit themselves, even when they are set in the talit, they are only what's called what do they call accoutrements? What is it? They're connected to a commandment. They're not holy themselves. Let's take an example, simple example. A Chanukah menorah. You light the candle. Or a knife that's used for slaughtering. Right? After you're finished with the Chanukah menorah, let's say you want to buy a better one. You had a really cheap one. You can throw it away if you want to. You can throw it in the garbage. The same thing with a knife, a slaughtering knife. You used it to do a commandment with, to slaughter. But after it's not, you can throw it away. It's not holy anymore. It's just what's called a helper to do a commandment. It's tashmishe mitzvah. It helps you to do the commandment, but it's not holy itself. Not like a sefer Torah or tefillin. They become holy once you use them. When oib nit mitzad bizoy mitzvah, volt men gemegt ze nutzen for a tashmish shachol. And if it wasn't for that, you can use it for a regular thing. Let's say your garment. A garment. You have a garment, right? This garment that you have, and after it's finished, you can take the tzitzis off. You can use the garment to wash your car with if you want. The garment is not holy. The tzitzis are a little bit holy because you use them, which is not the case doing a commandment of sitting in the sukkah. And sitting in the sukkah is the holiness is in the wood of the sukkah, of the covering. That is holy. And from the rabbis, the rabbis say that even the walls of the sukkah have a certain degree of holiness. So from the Torah, the schach which is on the sukkah, if it falls down, like you can't, clean your teeth with it or something. Kashem shechal, Shem Shemaim, just like the name of God falls on holy things, also it falls the name of Shemaim on the sukkah. In the holiday of Sukkot, the sukkah is holy. Umitzad then, because of the holiness which is in the sukkah, as tormen zich mitzeh nit nutzen, you can't use anything in the sukkah. You can't use the things in the sukkah. Huh? That's the law. In the holiday of Sukkot, the regular sukkah you use becomes like a holy building, a holy. And even though the sukkah is really not a commandment, it's not like your tefillin or a mezuzah on your door. It's not really, the sukkah is not really holy. It doesn't know this is only after the days of the holiday passed. Which then, megmen, we can use the wood of the sukkah and even the wood of the schach that covers over. It's just good to be careful not to use them for anything like your tzitzis. Is this the 7 days of the holiday, though, that the sukkah as a law of being holy, even more than the tzitzis that you have on your garment. It's holy. So when you have a slaughtering knife, or let's say the pen that a scribe uses to write with, so when he's writing with it, it's a purpose. It's used for some sort of holiness. You shouldn't use the pen when you're writing to who knows to scratch yourself with, or you shouldn't use it for regular things. But when you're finished, you can throw it away in the garbage. The same thing is with the slaughtering knife. The same thing with the let's say the garment of even the tzitzis themselves. You can throw them away. So even when they're being used, they're not really holy. They're just connected to holiness, which is not the case to sukkah. The Sukkah is the 7 days is actually called holy, which the whole idea of the holiness of the Sukkah is on this, which is it's more is more than just an accoutrement to a commandment, to a connection to a commandment. So we have things that are holy and things which are connected to holy. The commandments are holy, and the things that help you to do the commandment, they're connected to holy. So a sukkah is holy, and the 7 days is holy. But unlike the other commandments that are holy, after the holiday, it loses its holiness. Okay, good. But the fact is, you're taking mundane wood and mundane leaves, and the 7 days of the holiday, those things become holy, which is not like the knife of slaughtering or the other things that we use. Because of the commandment in the physical world, is the getter from Tashmishe Kedusha, Tashmishe Mitzvah, is as Mishtamshim B'em L'Shem Mitzvah. You're using, for instance, the tzitzis, you're doing it for the sake of a commandment. But it's not a commandment itself. In Zei Gufa is Nitakan Kedusha, there's no holiness in the tzitzis, which is not the case, the holiness of the Sukkah. And the Sukkah means, as the Sukkah itself, their schach and the walls, they become holy. Just like it falls the name of godliness, holiness, on holy things like your tefillin, your tzitzis, is also the name of God falls on the Sukkah. So what happens is, the unique thing about the holiday of Sukkot is that in the holiday of Sukkot, the Sukkah itself becomes holy. Similarly, also, we find also by the commandment of taking the 4 Lulov and Etrog, etc., that the connection between these 4 things with the commandment, which they do with is as Mer Hadgasha, is under mitzvahs, is more than other commandments. A connection between the Lulav and the Etrog, it becomes also more holy than other commandments. Let's see. The connection from a physical thing to the commandment, which a person does with, is in the fact that this is by means of doing the commandment, or afilu by singling out something that you're going to do a commandment for, like you have tefillin, you made it before the child even puts it on, this will refine the thing that you're using. Nor oich mitzad zei etzem mitzius, because of its existence. Noch far them, even before a person does the commandment, and even before he singles this thing out for a commandment. Why? Thus, goof of us that the gaver dashman, that a physical thing is fitting to do a commandment with. For instance, it says that you cannot make tefillin, for instance, from pig skin, a camel skin. You're not allowed to do. Why? Because there's no way you can make a camel permissible to eat. Only things which are permissible to be eaten can be used for the commandments. So they have to be, before you use it for a commandment, it has to be things that are already sort of, how do you say, refined. Like, for instance, the wool, which is made for tzitzis, is based on, this indicates, based as there is mer mezuchach, it's already higher from other physical things, which you, because with these things, you can use the commandments. You can use the commandments. In other words, commandments can only be done with things that are permissible to use, or which are used only for good things. Und dem besteht, and this is the thing of the 4 meaning of the lulav and the etrog regarding other things, as their zichuch and ilui from the daled meaning is in an ofen gului, it's in a revealed way, like we're going to learn, and we're going to learn, God willing. Let's see what's in it. Let's do one more paragraph. In a revealed way. See, Ismavur, it's explained in Chassidus that the reason for a commandment of in Sukkot, the lakachtem lachem, seinen ois ge kliben gevoren dorach defer meaning. It is the putting together of all these different 4 types. is as therefore it is was ze is the tchuna from achtos. It shows therefore that you can only take things which somehow or other indicate on unity. A lulav is all the leaves are together. Kafutin says, and there hadas is there's three. It goes. It's a stick. Hadas is three, and it grows on it leaves three. Unity, and they cover one another. It says arava. Yes, aravas the willow branches, the two willow branches we take with trees. It says that they grow on a tree which is called achva. The tree is called achvanya. It says if you ever saw a willow tree, willow trees are very interesting. All the other trees, like they branch out all over the place. And willow trees, it grows in like one lump. It looks almost like from far away, almost like a mushroom. It looks like it's one unity. How much more so the etrog? The etrog, it says, it grows the whole entire year on the tree. It benefits from all the different types of weather. Unity. Und es wird vereinzigt, the Allah unifies all the different seasons from the time of the year. So all of the four different types of vegetation that we use for the commandment of lulav and etrog, each one of them individually has some sort, in addition to being the thing which is permissible to use, it has a sign of unity. Because these things which we use for the commandment, Zainen behischalkus unpirut, because generally the things that we use are indicate on separateness. In other words, you make wool from a sheep. How does that indicate on unity? The hide that you use to make a Sefer Torah, but that doesn't study on unity. Was muchach as das was the daled meaning. Therefore, that which the four different types, species that we use for the lulav and esrog, they have in them an angeshaft from achtos. They have some sort of a use for unity, as nemzich as darfon was is ze nirgash a chalishus unser Weltischkeit, in their worldliness. In other words, the separation. We're taking four different types of how does the world work? The world works that everything has to be separate from everything else. And sometimes you can unify these things, but the essence of everything, every atom has its own. I think that's why they're called atoms. It's like the lowest unity of separation that they can have. It's called an atom. Okay, maybe there's smaller things, but everything in the world, the essence of what there is in the world is that everything is separate from everything else. Every snowflake is different. Everything is in a different place. And so it's the same thing with everything which we use the commandments. Everything we do to use the commandments and the commandments to make tefillin, to make a Sefer Torah, to make tzitzis, they come from the world, and the world indicates on separateness, which is not the case. The four types of vegetation we use to do lulav and etrog, each one of them has some sort of a sign of unity. Some sort of a sign of unity. The lulav, all the leaves are together. The hadas, all the leaves cover one another over. The arava, the willow tree, it looks like one big unit. They all grow in one big unit, right, etc. Okay. But from this, it's understood as chach oich by all mitzvahs, even though they're by all the commandments. There's a refinement and an elevation in the things which we use as zayin and roy, they become fit because they have to be, before you can use it, it has to be a thing which potentially could be to machen, to make a commandment with, like we said before, as kumtas aber nit zu dem zichuch, but it's not the same level of refinement. For all the other commandments, the physical materials that we use to make the other commandments, they have to be fitting to use the commandments. You can't make tefillin from a pig, like I said before, something not kosher. You can't. But these things, they have to have prerequisites in order to be used for the. But the things which are used for the lulav and etrog, those prerequisites are even more. They have to have the prerequisite in order to be used for lulav and etrog, that they have to indicate unity. Kumtas avadnir, that doesn't come to the same level as the unit, as the refinement, which can be used in the four different types. With zain and roy, they are fit for the commandment of doing lulav and etrog. Vibal, because as in zer zichuch, the refinement that they have in un iloi is nikar. We can see clearly the unity which is higher from any of the creations. Okay, we're going to stop here. But what have we set up to now? The commandments of lulav and etrog and Sukkot and the holiday of and Suka also is somehow or other indicates on the holy temple and on the Mashiach, the name of the Mashiach. Why? We don't know yet, but at least the Rebbe is trying to set apart the commandments of Sukkot from all the other commandments we do in the whole year. The Sukkah is unique because when we're sitting in the Sukkah, the physical things that were in the Sukkah are just mundane things, and after the holiday, they remain basically mundane, but in the holiday, they become holy. They become holy, which is not like any other thing, which after its use is mundane, that when you're using it, it's holy. There's no other thing like that. And only Sukkah. The unique thing about Lulav and Etrog is that all the other commandments are used with just regular physical things in the world that have the qualification that can't be forbidden. Well, by Lulav and Etrog, in addition to that qualification, there's also the unique qualification that they show on unity. Each one, Lulav, Etrog, Hadas, Arava, they show, each one shows individually on unity. So we have the holiness of the Sukkah in the time of the Sukkah and the unity of the elements used in the Lulav and Etrog before Sukkot. That somehow or other is going to indicate on the third temple and the Mashiach, and we're going to see how, God willing, tomorrow.